President, I ask that the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Mr. President, President Trump has made it clear that his foreign policy is centered on advancing America's interests and keeping Americans safe. And in the first 3 months of the Trump administration, we've seen the President take action on these priorities. President Trump has gone after terrorists who targeted Americans. He's secured the release of Americans held hostage abroad. And he's put America on a stronger footing with respect to adversaries like China and Iran. Mr. President, this is a welcome change in direction in our foreign policy. Over the last 4 years, the Biden administration too often demonstrated weakness on the world stage. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, for example, attempts to accommodate Iran, and I could go on. And at times it seemed the administration was more interested in exporting its progressive ideology than in advancing America's interests. On President Biden's watch, the world grew more unstable. So a foreign policy focused on American strength and security is much needed at a time like this. Mr. President, this week the Senate is continuing our work to get the President's team in place by confirming a slate of nominees for ambassador postings. Yesterday we confirmed our new ambassador to Japan. Japan is host to more U.S. troops than any other country, and it's one of our strongest allies when it comes to security in the Indo-Pacific. And as China's military takes more aggressive actions in this part of the world, our relationship with Japan will only grow in importance. So I'm glad we've wasted no time in confirming an ambassador to Tokyo. Mr. President, countering China also needs to be a focus in our own hemisphere. I'm grateful that President Trump has gone after China for its role in the fentanyl supply chain. The administration is also working to strengthen our partnerships in the Western Hemisphere and ensure the Chinese Communist Party does not secure a foothold in our own backyard. And having a Senate-confirmed ambassador to Panama, which we will later today, will help advance this goal and the administration's effort to ensure the Panama Canal, a critical artery for American trade, is not under undue Chinese influence. Mr. President, later today, we'll also be voting to confirm the U.S. ambassador to Israel. The Trump administration has restored a much-needed moral clarity when it comes to our ally Israel. More than 18 months after the October 7, 2023 attacks by Hamas terrorists, Israel is still at war. Hamas continues to hold hostages in Gaza, including multiple Americans. And Israel depends on U.S. support as it fights to eliminate the terrorist threats on its borders. President Trump has made it clear that the United States stands squarely in Israel's corner. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for our friends across the aisle. Democrats filibustered the ICC sanctions bill earlier this year after Leader Schumer refused to bring it up on the floor last year. And a number of Democrat senators continue to vote to disarm Israel in the middle of a war by blocking U.S. weapons shipments to Israel, as several Democrats did just last week. While the Democrat Party struggles to muster support for Israel, Republicans will continue to stand with our ally in the Middle East, especially in this time of war. And I know that once he is confirmed, Ambassador Huckabee will be a strong and supportive voice for Israel and for America's interests from his post in Jerusalem. Mr. President, the Trump administration is working hard to advance America's interests, and Senate Republicans are working to ensure the Trump administration's foreign policy team is put in place as swiftly as possible. And we will continue to support the President and his administration as they work to advance America's interests and secure peace through strength. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.